Heracles is a demigod, or you might come up with Athena or Aphrodite or something like that. But there is a trait throughout human history of people naming gods and giving them characteristic traits. And so here, if we hit the pause button again, what I want us to do is to stop and ask this fundamental question. Who created the gods? And the answer is really quite simple. Did you get it? We did. Humans created all of these gods. Humans created gods so that they could explain these invisible forces that controlled their lives. Humans created the gods. Now, we all live in a scientific era, so every single person here since primary school probably understands that rain, or the water that falls from the sky, is part of the water cycle. And everyone in this room could probably start predicting when we are going to get rain. But that's not the society they lived in. And do you know what I think is really, really cool? Is as these ancient societies are starting to name and give gods characteristic traits, there's a new god that springs up. And in the Bible we come to this opening gambit, and we don't have to go any further than the first 5 words to pick up this awesome message. It goes like this. In the beginning, God was. Do you get it? In the beginning, God was. See, the Bible is made up of 66 different books, and each book has been written by a different person at a different stage, and over the books they've been separated by thousands of years, and yet the same message remains constant, and each person that's written has been shaped by the people around them, by their friends, their culture. And yet the very first book in a culture where all the gods have been created by humans, where all the gods have been named by humans, where all the gods have been given human characteristics, we have this book that opens up and says, in the beginning, God. In the beginning, God was. It's a refreshing point that we often miss. In the beginning, God was. And so the opening accounts in the Bible reminds us that it's God first, and it's God who is the subject of life. It is God who is foundational for living. It is God first in the beginning. It is not God in the margins of our lives. It's not God on the weekends. It is God first and God last. It is God, God, God. In the beginning, God was. So why God? Because in the beginning, God was. God is the creator and perfecter of life. Hey, the second thing I want you guys to grasp tonight before we head on home is simply this. God speaks. God speaks to us. He speaks to me, and some of you are thinking, really, Mr. Harris, you have like some God that speaks to you, you're a crazy person? Should I maybe call my parents now and go home? Am I really safe to me? Yes, God speaks to me, and God can speak to you guys also. And the critical thing, if I move on, is it has to be a two-way conversation. It can't be just you, going to bed, hey God, how's life going? My life's not so good, blah, 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 blah. You've got to actually stop and listen to what he's got to say. It's a two-way thing. You've got to speak, and you've got to listen. Anyway, I'm not sure how many of you will realise this, but earlier we were talking about the first gods. We're talking about how the first gods were created. We have water that falls from the sky, and this must be a god, and I depend on this force. And this creates a relationship between people and the gods. And it's a relationship that we create where we never know what's going on, but we depend upon them. And so humans one day, they come along and they go, we need rain for food. And rain hasn't come in a long time. And we have this god, the god of the rain. And so what we probably should do is give them a bunch of our stuff so that this God is happy with us. And so what we do is we create altars, and they're normally in the form of just stones raised up. And we place stuff on the altar, and if we place the stuff on the altar and the God is happy with what we give them, it starts to rain, and we all walk away happy. But what if we put stuff on the altar and it doesn't rain? Well, we have to get more stuff, and we place it back on the altar again. And what if that doesn't work and months pass and we're having a drought? Well, we better get more stuff because this God must be really angry with us. So we put more stuff on the altar. And it still doesn't rain. So more months pass. And so we get more of our stuff together and we place that on the altar. And it still doesn't rain. And all of a sudden we're looking around. It's been a year now since the last rain. We've pretty much got nothing there to give. So what do you guys think we place on the altar? And so as we look through human history, the next logical thing to do, and people started doing this, is they started to sacrifice their own blood. And so at the altar they'd start to cut themselves. As a sign of, this is how much I think of you, gods, whichever one you may be worshipping. I value you so much that I pour out my own life essence onto this altar. Please give me the rain. Please give us healthy crops or whatever we're after. And if that doesn't work, what's next? Let's go a step further, Tia. Human history is riddled with it. You don't have to look far before you get to human sacrifice. The firstborn is a sign of thanks. And this is where people come to when they create these gods that they create, they make in their own image, that they ascribe human traits to, that ultimately they have no way of communicating with because these gods do not speak. These gods do not speak. They are voiceless creations made by humans, served by humans, and they don't speak. And it creates anxiety amongst people because you have no idea where you stand. And at the time that we're creating these gods, and at the time that we're creating all these problems, we have this other God that springs up, and his name is God. He's the King of Kings, he's the Lord of Lords, he's Yahweh, he's the ruler of everything. And guess what? He speaks. You don't have to go far, or you get into the opening accounts. It's in the beginning God was, and then all of a sudden you've got this picture of God. He's walking through the Garden of Eden, and he's talking to Adam, and he's talking to Eve. Or if you continue to trek through the Bible, you get to the 12th chapter, and he's talking to Abraham, he's saying, you need to leave your family, I'm going to bless you to bless others. Or you look at Joseph, and he's saying, hey, these crazy dreams that this person is happening, this is what they mean. And all of a sudden Joseph's in charge of thousands of people and saving lives. Or you get to David, a shepherd, walking amongst his flock, and he says, hey, you can kill that giant, go fling a stone at him, and all of a sudden he's the ruler of a nation. Or you come to Jesus, who we have both historical and scientific evidence that lived, and he sends his own son down, and he's walking in flesh, talking and doing stuff amongst people. And then Jesus gets crucified on the cross to save our sins, and then he is raised again from the dead, walks around, does a bit more talking, goes up to heaven, and he leaves behind the first leaders of the church, and his spirit comes, and all of a sudden a bunch of very ordinary people, if not subordinary, change the world. This God is a God who speaks. He speaks to me, he speaks today, and he can speak to you, and I know he does speak to some of you, and I know you hear him. And so tonight we begin our Why God series, and there's two things I want to leave you guys with. It's simply this. Why God? Because in the beginning, God was. And why God? Because he speaks to me, and he can and he will speak to you guys. Hey, let's just quickly pray as we close for this week. Father, just thank you for the good time we've had hanging out.